I was sent this link by a teen member. Now, it referred to a, quote, woke pastor. I don't know for sure the person is a pastor. I'm just getting that from the title. But this is the type of stuff that's out there. Now, please understand, I've documented things like this for many years. I've heard these kinds of claims from gay activists on different levels for many, many years now. But the more that they get out, the more you get these sound bites out. They trickle down, and the younger generation just trickles down to them. A lot of kids who haven't thought these things through trickles down to them. And then even someone has the theological grounding. Oh, sounds right. So we're going to deal with some really crazy, way out stuff today, starting with this short video. Let's go.
God is non-binary, God is queer, God is autistic. Let me unpack that for you. God is non-binary because God is the author of gender. God is genderless and genderful. They are neither male nor female, and they are both. They refer to themselves both as male and female throughout the text. And yet theology would tell us that God does not have gender, so by definition, God is non-binary. God is queer because, like gender, God is the author of all sexualities. All sexualities exist in God, and yet God is not explicitly sexual. And since asexuality is part of the LGBTQ spectrum, we can say God is queer. And finally, God is autistic because autism is a divergence from typical neurology. And since no being in existence has a mind like the mind of God, God is by definition neurodivergent. And as an autistic person, I like to say God is autistic. God always identifies with and as the most marginalized people in society.
May God have mercy on this gentleman and really bring him into the knowledge of the one true God, bring him to repentance and salvation, and heal whatever hurts he has on the inside of him. So his claim, God is non-binary, God is queer, and God is autistic. Number one, we all agree that God transcends gender, that God does not have biology that human beings do, and that God is either male or female in his essence. He transcends gender, of course, and he creates us in his image as male and female, so all the fullness of male and female are found in him. We agree with that. However, it is utter nonsense to say he is non-binary, because non-binary means something very different. Non-binary means that you don't fit into gender norms. It's totally different than transcending gender. Non-binary means that you're a biological male, but you identify as female or as asexual or as multiple genders. That's what it means. Here's one definition where it is equated with genderqueer. Non-binary or genderqueer is an umbrella term for gender identities that are neither male nor female, identities that are outside the gender binary. God is not outside the gender binary, meaning, well, his categories don't fit because he's male, then he is sometimes female, and then he's they. No, he's not they. He's never referred to as they in the Bible. So you say, yeah, but what about the times when God says he's like a mother? Yeah, who he is, he's revealed as male in terms of a man of war, in terms of being the father or the son, incarnates himself in this world as Jesus. He is never identified as a female in the Bible, to be clear, but he acts like a mother caring for her children. He acts like a mother birthing children, things like that. Those analogies are found in terms of his actions as opposed to his being. Yet we recognize that this is still earthly language and that God himself in his essence is not male or not female because he transcends it. But it's different than non-binary, which is basically a synonym for genderqueer. That's painting with brushes that violate the borders and change the borders and deny the borders, as opposed to saying one is transcendent of gender. No human beings transcend gender. A human being is either male or female, or there may be some intersex biological defect that obscures this a little bit, but ultimately, true gender/sex is male, female. Every human being fits into one of those unless there's a biological abnormality. None of us transcend gender. The idea that God is queer because all sexualities exist in him. What kind of nonsense is that? All sexualities. Pedophilia is a sexuality. Pedophilia is an attraction to children, a sexual attraction to children. that many researchers says it's innate and immutable. Someone's born like that and they can't change. So we have to have sympathy for them while making sure that they don't break the laws and don't abuse children and things like that. But let's have sympathy for them because they didn't ask for this. No, all sexualities do not exist in God. And many human sexualities are perversions. They're exactly contrary to what God intended. They're the opposite of his intent and plan for human beings and human flourishing. And homosexuality does not exist in God. So completely bogus on every level. As for God being, quote, autistic, autism is a defect somewhere. In other words, there is something wrong that creates a disability, a handicap, a problem, an issue. It is not being so wise that autism means you are beyond wisdom, you are beyond intelligence, you are beyond understanding. You exist on another level like God does, right? Romans 11:23, oh, the depth of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. You can possibly understand the mind of the Lord. No, autism is a problem. Now, many autistic people function well in society, but there are challenges that they have. God has no challenges in this regard. Now, does he identify with the marginalized? He loves the marginalized. He cares for the marginalized, but he does not approve of everything in every marginalized culture or group. There are people who are marginalized because of sin and rebellion in their life, and they've been cast off to the side. There are others who are marginalized because society hates them and rejects them for no fault of theirs. God does care for those on the fringes, but he doesn't affirm everything they do and who they are and identify as them. He says, hey, come here and find wholeness. Come here and find grace. Come here and find new life. Now, look, let's be honest. Critiquing a video like this, it's low-hanging fruit. In other words, your average believer without a lot of theological depth hears that and knows it's completely bogus and can give a pretty good answer as to why it's bogus, all right? But to soundbite it and to bottom line it, no, God is not non-binary. God transcends gender, which is something very different. No, God is not queer because God is the standard of what is right rather than what is queer and different in a wrong sense and contrary to his design for male and female and contrary to his plan for marriage. And no, God is not autistic, although that's a separate category entirely because we're not talking about a moral behavior as much as an emotional or intellectual challenge that this person may have. God cares deeply about those who struggle and about those who are autistic. He cares about those who identify as queer. He cares about those who identify as gay. But as far as our behaviors, as far as our morality, he says, come to me and receive mercy for transformation, not for affirmation in willful sin. Hey, friends, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, click on one of the boxes on the screen, check out another one of our videos, and be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. You know, we discovered that about 60% of you that are watching our videos aren't subscribers, so subscribe today. Doesn't cost you a dime. And if you want to support our work, Line of Fire, and all the things that we do, follow one of the links on the screen below.